You ever caught your fish side-eyeing you after feeding time, wondering if they're being personally victimized by your menu choices? Well, it's time for a deep dive into what's actually worth putting in your tank, because let's be real, some of these foods are 5-star meals and others are, well, the gas station sushi of the aquatic world. Here's what your fish should and should not be consuming, ranked accordingly, and yes, this is personal, so try not to get too butthurt in the comments. So you're out here trying to give your fish the finest dining experience, and honestly, this is a solid place to start. SF Bay Multi-Pack is basically the sampler platter of frozen fish food. This thing features brine shrimp, bloodworms, and mysis shrimp. It's got high protein, balanced diet energy that keeps both omnivores and carnivores living their best lives. Think of it as a subscription box for your fish, except instead of skincare products that you're never going to use, it's packed with nutrient-dense goodness that fish will actually devour. And the best part? It's easy to portion out, so you're not out here guessing how much to feed and end up with an aquarium that looks like a murky soup of regret. Plus, it's widely available, meaning you don't have to go on a side quest just to restock. If fish had Yelp accounts, they'd be leaving 5-star reviews and asking for more. No wonder this landed itself in the A tier. It's a solid choice. No notes. If fish had snack subscriptions, Microfauna would be the go-to. These tiny tank cleaning powerhouses, copepods, amphipods, and other microscopic critters are the unsung heroes of aquarium life. Not only do they act as an all-natural cleanup crew, breaking down waste and excess food, but they're also a 24/7 unlimited buffet for your fish. It's like DoorDash, but you can eat the driver. Yeah. The best part? You don't have to worry about portion control. Microfauna exists in the tank's ecosystem, providing a sustainable, constant food source. Your fish get the chance to hunt and forage and snack on demand, which keeps them enriched and engaged. If you're serious about optimizing your tank's food chain, Phillips Fish Works is a trusted source for quality microfauna. This is an easy S-tier pick because, let's be real, a self-sustaining, never-ending snack source that also cleans your tank? Nothing else comes close. You ever deal with a fish that acts like it's auditioning for the role of pickiest eater in existence? You drop food in, they just stare at you like you just insulted their entire family lineage. And then they turn around and swim away in disgust. Yeah, those fish need Hikari Vibrabites. This stuff is basically fish magic, sorcery. It's designed to look like bloodworms, and it's got that irresistible visual appeal that tricks even the most bougie of fish into chowing down. Nutritionally, it's got high protein and essential vitamins, so you're not just feeding them empty calories. Plus, it sinks slowly, meaning your mid-level and bottom feeders won't be left out of the party. If you've ever had a fish that refuses to eat anything that doesn't look like it's still alive, this is the way to go. Does it reach the highest tier? Not quite. It's hanging out in B tier, but only because there are fresher, more nutrient-dense options out there. Still, for picky eaters, this is elite-level trickery. Okay, so here's the deal. You ever walk into a gas station and see a questionable-looking hot dog spinning on a roller and just think to yourself, there's no way anyone is actually eating that? Well, someone is, and it's probably me. And unfortunately, if you're feeding your fish Wardley fish foods, that someone is your fish. Anyways, this stuff is the definition of bottom-tier cuisine. It's packed with fillers like wheat and soy instead of actual fish meal, which means your fish are basically eating aquarium junk food. Sure, they're going to eat it, because fish will eat almost anything, let's get real here. But will they thrive? Well, absolutely not. Long-term use can lead to nutritional deficiencies, stunted growth, and health issues that make your fish look like they're on a struggle bus. And let's not even talk about water quality, because of its low nutritional value, a lot of it just ends up as waste, meaning your tank gets dirtier faster. Your filter's already working overtime, so don't do it like that. Wardley, I'm sorry, but you're getting tossed straight into the F tier. Your fish deserve better. If fish had some personal trainers, they'd be recommending Northfin Community Pellets. This is premium nutrition at its finest. It's got whole Antarctic krill and herring, meaning it's absolutely stacked with omega-3 fatty acids, which in fish terms is the equivalent of eating clean and hitting the gym. Sorry, it keeps coming out. These pellets promote vibrant colors, healthy digestion, and overall longevity, basically turning your fish into the aquatic equivalent of a fitness influencer. And unlike other brands, Northfin doesn't mess around with fillers or artificial additives. You heard me right. You're not going to find any mystery ingredients in here. It's all good stuff, which is probably why fish go crazy for it. If you're trying to give your fish top-tier nutrition while keeping things simple, well, this is the way to go. It sits comfortably in the B tier, which is honestly just a ranking technicality because pellets, while great, they just don't have the same moisture content and fresh appeal as some of the higher ranked foods. But in terms of dry food, easily one of the best. Okay, so you want to give your fish a high-protein feast without the hassle of dealing with live foods. Well, freeze-dried blackworms are here to save the day. These things are protein-packed, making them an easy way to bulk up your fish's diet and keep them looking strong, sleek, and, well, less like they're on a diet of sadness. But here's the catch. These blackworms roll up into the party missing some essential vitamins. It's like eating plain chicken breast every day with no seasoning or sides. Sure, you're gonna get gains, but at what cost? To fix that, you gotta dose them with the supplement like Vitachem before serving. This levels up the nutritional profile, making sure your fish actually get a balanced meal instead of just a protein overload. And please don't just chuck them in dry. Rehydrating them beforehand prevents digestive issues, because, yeah, dehydrated food expands when wet, and no fish wants to deal with a stomach full of regrets. With the right prep, this lands in a respectable spot in our B tier. Solid, but needs a little extra love to truly shine. Alright, listen up, everyone with bottom feeders, or maybe some fish that prefer a plant-based diet. It's cool, but if you think tossing raw veggies into the tank is the move, let's just take a quick step back here, okay? Your fish aren't rabbits, and their digestive systems need a little help processing raw plant matter. Properly prepped veggies are an absolute game changer for herbivorous fish. Spinach, zucchini, cucumber, these guys are the holy trinity of fish-friendly greens. They're nutrient-dense and, when blanched correctly, provide an easy-to-digest, fiber-rich meal. Plus, they help mimic the natural diet of many bottom-dwelling fish who spend their time munching on plant matter. If you drop in raw zucchini slices, though, it's probably going to float there like a lost UFO while your fish side-eye you from below waiting for something edible. Blanching often softens the veggies and makes nutrients more accessible, which is why this method gets a well-earned A-tier placement. If your fish had a protein shake sponsor, it would probably be Fluval Bug Bites. These pellets are made with a black soldier fly larvae, which might sound kind of gross to us, but to fish, that's gourmet dining, baby. Rich in protein and fiber, this food supports digestion and muscle growth, making it ideal for omnivores and carnivores looking to get those solid gains. That pellet form makes things super easy. No messy flakes floating around and no nutrient loss from dehydration. And it's also one of the better commercially available foods in terms of sustainability, since insect-based protein's a lot more eco-friendly than traditional fish meal. While it won't replace a varied diet, it's a strong choice for a daily staple. This lands itself comfortably in the B tier. Not the absolute peak of fish nutrition, but it is a reliable, well-rounded meal option that does its job pretty well. Krill! It's one of those fish food ingredients that just sounds fancy, and for good reason. It's packed with protein. It naturally enhances coloration, and it's got the kind of amino acids that make fish thrive. Extreme Krill Flakes takes advantage of all that goodness, delivering a flake food that's actually worth considering. But here's the deal. Flakes just don't hit the same as pellets or frozen foods. What's the problem? Well, you see, nutrients degrade faster in flake form, meaning that by the time your fish are eating them, they're not getting the same quality as they would from pellets or fresh options. And they also tend to make a mess, especially in high flow tanks, which means that you're stuck doing extra cleanups because your fish had a flake fight at feeding time. If you're using this as a supplement, it's a solid addition to the rotation, but relying on it as a main food source is not ideal. This one settles into the C tier. Not the worst, but definitely outclassed by other options. If your fish could put in a special request for dinner, there's a good chance that they'd be asking for live California blackworms. This is the premium live food experience, the Kobe beef, 5-star steakhouse of fish nutrition. Kobe worm, I guess? These little wigglers aren't just fun for fish to hunt down, they are packed with essential nutrients and promote a healthy gut flora, making them an absolute powerhouse when it comes to digestion and overall vitality. For anyone who's trying to get their fish in top tier shape, whether for breeding, growth, or just flexing those vibrant colors, this is the conditioning food of choice. It encourages natural hunting behavior, reduces stress, and it keeps fish engaged with their environment. But here's the catch. Blackworms don't come with an easy button. They require careful handling and storage, and when they start going bad, yeah, you're not going to want to have that near your tank. They're messy, prone to fouling water if not eaten fast enough, and cultivating them at home is its own chaotic science experiment. Live blackworms have been the secret when I ran reef tanks. This was introduced to me by one of the old school reefers, Paul B., who was running the same tank for over 50 years. Yeah, you heard me right. He's had fish live out their maximum natural lifespan and never dealt with diseases. Live blackworms are his secret, and I've been a believer since. Despite the hassle, the benefits are undeniable. This earns a well-deserved S-tier placement. When it comes to live food, this is as good as it gets. Imagine a fish food that not only feeds your fish, but also optimizes their entire digestive system. That is exactly what new Life Spectrum Probiotics pellets are doing. These are probiotic infused pellets designed to improve digestion, nutrient absorption, and immune response. Meaning your fish aren't just eating, they are thriving. The ingredient list here is stacked with high-quality proteins, including whole fish meal, meaning that there's no sketchy filler nonsense, and because it contains probiotics, it actively helps your fish process food more efficiently, which means less waste in your tank. That's a win-win for your fish and for your filter, which is probably tired of cleaning up after them at this point. The only thing keeping this from absolute top-tier status is the fact that, at the end of the day, it's still a pellet. While it's one of the best pellets out there, fish food just hits different when it's fresh or live. This lands a well-respected B-tier ranking. Great for long-term use, but not the absolute peak of fish dining experiences. If you've ever felt left out watching saltwater fish owners talk about their high-end frozen foods, well, guess what? LRS Reef Frenzy is here for the freshwater crowd too. And it's making sure your fish don't miss out on that luxury treatment. Originally marketed for reef tanks, this mix is packed with whole seafood, algae, probiotics, and straight-up quality ingredients that put most freshwater foods to shame. And here's the best part. This isn't just some wild internet theory. The creator, Larry, personally stated to the community that this stuff works wonders for freshwater species. Just a little note here, it is quite messy to feed. That's right, we've got actual fish food science behind this one. Whether you got cichlids, tetras, or even shrimp, they will go crazy for this mix. It's got high moisture content, premium nutrition, and minimal fillers, which automatically makes it one of the better frozen food options out there. Since it's frozen, there's also no degradation of nutrients like you see with flakes or dried foods. So this earns itself an A-tier spot, because while it's not quite as convenient as pellets or live foods, the quality speaks for itself. Regular live brine shrimp are kind of like that friend who always brings vibes but never actually contributes to the party. Fun? Well, sure, but nutritionally dense? Not really. That's why infused live brine shrimp are the superior option. By soaking them in omega-3 and Celcon before feeding, you're essentially upgrading them from a basic snack into a nutritious fatty acid-packed meal. This is a go-to treat for fish who need extra conditioning, particularly for breeding or recovery. It is a great supplement to a well-rounded diet, but here's the thing, it can't be the whole diet. Even with supplementation, brine shrimp still aren't nutritionally dense enough to be a staple food. They're kind of the equivalent of having a really solid side dish, but not a full meal. But that being said, for what it does, offering a high-energy, easily digestible live food option, it definitely ranks up in the A tier. A well-fed fish is a happy fish, and this is one of those treats that can really elevate their quality of life. Okay, flake foods have a bit of a reputation problem. A lot of them are filled with junk ingredients. They break down too quickly in the water, and honestly, most fish would rather eat something else. But Cobalt Aquatics Tropical Flakes are different. These are probiotic enhanced flakes, meaning they're actually working with your fish's digestive system instead of against it. Compared to most flake foods, this is one of the better daily use options out there. Their probiotics help reduce bloating and digestive issues, and the ingredient list leans more towards high-quality proteins rather than just a bunch of random filler grains. That's already a huge step up from supermarket tier flake foods, and you know it. The main downside is that, well, flakes still lose nutritional value faster than frozen or pellet options. They also tend to create more waste because, let's be honest, fish don't always eat them fast enough. For that reason, this lands in the B tier. It's good, but if your fish can handle pellets, they're probably way better to go. So we've talked about it already, but flake food's like the chaotic neutral of the fish food world. It's everywhere, it's easy, but it's also kind of messy, and half of it usually ends up floating around like it just got evicted from your fish's personal space. That said, new Life Spectrum Optimum flakes are at least trying to break the cycle of mediocrity that most flakes suffer from. The ingredient list here actually includes whole fish meal, which is already a step up from the flake foods you'd find sitting sadly on supermarket shelves. And that stuff is packed with more wheat than a loaf of bread. It's got a decent balance of vitamins and minerals, meaning it's doing something good for your fish, but yeah, yes, there's a but, it's still flake food, meaning that it loses nutrients faster than other options, especially when sitting in water for too long. If you're gonna use flakes, this is one of the better ones out there, but should it be the only thing your fish eat? Well, probably not. It's best used as part of a rotation so your fish don't end up surviving on the equivalent of dry cereal for every meal. Solid C-tier food, because even though it's one of the better flakes, flakes are still flakes, and your filter is already judging you for making its job harder. Tiny fish deserve big nutrition, and Extreme Nano is exactly that. This is one of those small but mighty situations. These micro pellets are designed specifically for nano fish, meaning that they're loaded with the good stuff to keep them thriving. They've got that high protein content, which is essential for growth and energy, and their tiny size means that even the smallest fish won't have to fight through oversized chunks just to get a decent meal. And what's the best part? Well, it helps bring out those vibrant colors in your fish. So if you're trying to make your aquarium look like a living work of art instead of a tank full of washed out low energy fish, well, this is a solid choice. And since the pellets are pretty small, there's a lower risk of overfeeding, which means fewer water quality disasters caused by uneaten food that just rots away. This one chills in the B tier, not the absolute best food in existence, but if you got nano fish, one of the best pellet options for them. Plus, they'll actually eat it, instead of spending 20 minutes awkwardly circling food that's way too big for them like it's a problem they just can't solve. Alright, let's have a serious talk. If you've been out there thinking, oh, I'll just toss some feeder fish in my predator tank, it's natural. Let me just stop you right there, pal. Sure, feeding live fish sounds cool in theory, but in practice, it's kind of like rolling the dice on whether or not you just introduced a tank-wide disease outbreak. Most feeder fish are raised in, let's call it, questionable conditions. They're often packed into overcrowded tanks, they're stressed out, and they've been carrying more diseases than a medieval plague town. Your big bad predator fish might get a moment of enrichment, but they're also risking parasites, not to mention bacterial infections and other lovely surprises that can mess up their health long term. And nutritionally, well, feeder fish are kind of weak. They don't have nearly as much value as a properly balanced diet of high quality pellets, frozen foods, and supplements. Now, if you're absolutely determined to use feeder fish, it's best to maintain a separate tank of them and gut load them with actual nutrients beforehand. But honestly, there are better ways to feed your fish without playing aquarium Russian roulette. This lands a well-deserved D-tier spot, because while it'll technically keep a predator fed, it's also a one-way ticket to potential disaster. If fish food brands had influencer reputations, legit fish food would be the one that actually backs up its hype. This is a micro pellet food that was designed to do what many pellets claim but fail to deliver. Provide a nutrient-dense, well-balanced meal that actually benefits fish instead of just filling their stomachs. The pellet size is small enough for most community fish, so nobody in the tank's struggling to eat. It's packed with proteins, vitamins, and minerals, making it one of the better staple foods that you can use regularly. The biggest flex here is how nutrient-dense it really is. It's not just empty calories, it's designed to promote fish health, growth, and coloration, meaning your fish aren't just eating, they are thriving. This earns a solid B tier ranking, mainly because while it's great for pellet food, the best fish diets still involve a mix of different food sources. But if you're looking for a solid everyday pellet to keep the community tank happy, this is as good as it gets. Listen, if your fish could choose their own meal prep routine, Beef Heart Plus would be on the menu for all the gym bro cichlids and catfish who are trying to bulk up. My people. This stuff is high protein, meaning it's fantastic for large fish that need serious nutrition to keep their energy levels. If you're raising cichlids, arowanas, or other heavy hitters in the aquarium world, this is one of those power foods that can really help with the growth and muscle development. But let's not ignore the obvious. Beef heart is, beef, and fish are not cows. This means that it's got a lot of fat, and while your fish might absolutely inhale this stuff like it's their last meal on Earth, it needs to be fed in moderation. Too much fat in a fish's diet can lead to long-term health issues, so this should always be part of a varied diet rather than the main event. With that in mind, this one earns itself an A-tier ranking. It's fantastic when used correctly, but if you start overfeeding it, you might end up with some fish who are, carrying a little too much extra weight for their own good, so moderation's key. Let's be real, digestion is important. Nobody, fish included, wants to feel like they just ate an entire buffet and then immediately regret their life choices. That is where Hikari Daphnia cubes come in. These frozen little fiber bombs are basically the Metamucil of the fish world, and your fish's digestive system will thank you for them. Unlike brine shrimp, which are basically just empty calories with a little protein, Daphnia actually brings some serious nutritional value to the table. High in fiber, these cubes help keep things moving smoothly in the underwater plumbing department, if you catch my drift. If you've got fry or smaller fish, this is one of the best frozen food options out there. The soft texture makes it easy for tiny fish to eat, and the nutrient content supports healthy growth and development. And then there's the convenience factor. Instead of dealing with the chaos of live Daphnia, which has a nasty habit of dying off faster than your motivation to go to the gym, you just pop out a frozen cube and call it a day. Less mess, less stress, and your fish still get all the benefits. I tried to make it rhyme, it didn't work. This is a solid A-tier food because it's nutritious, easy to use, and most importantly, prevents your fish from looking bloated and grumpy. Like that one aunt you have. Everybody's got her. I know she just came to your mind. If your African cichlids could talk, they'd probably be out here demanding Ron cichlid food by name. This stuff is basically the VIP meal plan for cichlids, and for good reason. It's one of the few foods out there that's been specifically formulated to prevent Malawi bloat, which, if you know anything about African cichlids, is a major issue that can turn your tank into an unintentional crime scene real fast. Ron's formula keeps things balanced, high-quality proteins, the right fiber content, and the essential vitamins that keep cichlids looking vibrant and acting like the absolute divas that they are. You ever seen an African cichlid sulking because it doesn't like its food? Yeah, it's the aquatic version of a toddler refusing to eat their veggies. But with this stuff, no way, man. They are hungry. Since cichlids are high energy, aggressive, and basically the tank bosses, they need food that supports their active behavior. Ron cichlid food does exactly that. If you're serious about keeping your African cichlids in top condition, this is one of the best staple foods you can give them. This lands an easy A tier because it does what it's supposed to do, and it does it ridiculously well. Alright, let's talk about going full-on Gordon Ramsay for your fish. DIY fish food is the move if you're trying to take complete control over what goes into your tank. No mystery ingredients, no weird fillers, just fresh, nutritious food that you know is actually good for them. Now, making your own fish food might sound a bit complicated, but it's really just about blending up some supermarket ingredients, shaping them into portions, and freezing them for later. Shrimp, fish fillets, veggies like spinach and carrots, just throw it all in a food processor, add some gelatin to hold it together, and boom! You've got high-quality fish food without paying premium prices for store-bought brands. And what's the best part? Well, you get to tailor it to your fish's specific needs. Got herbivores? Load it up with blanched veggies. Carnivores? Pack in that protein. This thing is, guys, it's cost effective. It's customizable. And your fish will eat better than most college students. The only real downside is that you actually have to make it. So if your meal prep game is already non-existent for yourself, the idea of doing it for your fish might be a bit much. That being said, DIY fish food is an A-tier choice if you're willing to put in the effort. No preservatives, no mystery fillers, just good, clean nutrition. Plus, there's something ridiculously satisfying about watching your fish absolutely destroy food that you made. Chef's kiss. Tetra Flake foods have been around forever. You've seen them. They're always there, sitting on pet store shelves, waiting for unsuspecting new fish owners to grab them and think, oh, this looks fine. And no, Sheila, it is not fine. This is the fast food drive-through meal of the fish world. You know what I'm talking about, those golden arches, huh? It's cheap, it's easy, and your fish are gonna eat it because they don't know any better. But nutritionally, it is straight up garbage. The protein content, low. The filler content, high. And half of it disintegrates into the water before your fish even get a chance to eat it. So all you out there who want that cloudy water, sluggish fish, and long-term health problems, by all means, go for it. The reality is that Tetra Flakes are packed with things that fish don't actually need. You know, the stuff that's easy to produce. Excessive carbohydrates, questionable protein sources, and a whole lot of nonsense that does nothing for long-term health. Sure, they're gonna survive on it, but thriving? No, that's not happening. It's like feeding a kid nothing but sugar cereal and hoping they grow up to be an Olympic athlete. This one is another easy F tier. There are just so many better options for there out there. I mean, to be using this, your fish deserve better. Your filter deserves better. And honestly, your whole aquarium deserves better. Toss this one into the garbage bin and never look back. Listen, at the end of the day, your fish are trusting you not to feed them trash. Some foods are elite. Some foods are just okay, and some should have never been sold. But now, you know what's worth your money, and will have your fish silently judging you through the glass. But tell us, what's your go-to fish food? Did your favorite make the cut, or are you rethinking everything you've ever known? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the fish food world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Your fish will thank you. Probably.